Also, I find it funny. What was it? Were we at work when I said?
Oh, you said you found it funny.
Remember when? Was it when we were at work where I looked at you and go, oh, language, Michelle, and then oh yeah, and then I died of laughter because I was the one who said language. Yes. I am the least of all people who should be critiquing people on their use of language. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Yep.
La 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 la.
Hi, Willow. Can you say hi to everybody? Meow. There you go.
She's a little bit. She's preparing for the episode. I had to take a shower, and when I tell you, I took a cold one because I was getting so angry because I was thinking about this episode.
Thank goodness she took a shower. She was stinky.
Damn, John.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michelle has now entered the building.
All right, we're gonna go look for the live video, which in the past has not gone so well.
No, it has not.
Did you add us? Did you follow us?
What's up, Angela?
Hi, Angela.
Hi, Angela.
La 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 la.
Angela.
It's gonna still be on J&M's because we
Mm.
don't have this yet, so I can't. I'll add us after this. And we have to go on here because we can't.
I'm tired. It's been a long week. It's only Monday.
Yes, it is.
I'm not waiting for this week.
Where's the live stuff?
I know where the live stuff is. You're the ones who do all the. Oh, hello, Willow. Hi.
Oh, you want to talk about the new Pope?
Oh, yeah, we have a new Pope.
The first Northern American Pope.
Who is also a citizen of Peru. Because he spends most of his time there. He gave his first speech, and in his first speech, he called for peace in the Ukraine and for peace in Gaza, which was super cool. He is getting a lot of pushback, though, I will say.
Is he?
Yeah. There are certain people in a certain political spectrum who are like, I don't like him.
Of course.
And they're like, I even once saw a conspiracy theory. It was wild conspiracy theory. It's wild.
I am too.
I am. But yeah. Oh, that's what I was gonna start doing while we're looking for this. I was actually gonna do
You need to have it so you can respond.
because we're gonna be doing
They can hear me.
oh no, did I just erase it? I just got out of my website with a bunch of statistics that me and Michelle have gone over these statistics already.
Hi, Mulan.
Hi, Mulani.
Come here.
John has not heard these statistics before, so I'm going to ask him questions. So, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the number one reason? What is the number one killer of pregnant women? And those of you who know, don't say in the comments. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. I would say the number one killer of pregnant women is. Now, are we talking about the woman dying or the baby?
The woman dying. And the baby dying. Both.
Them being in a position to where the birth cannot be given, and with today's technology, that's they can do other things.
No, you have ectopic pregnancies. You have a bunch of things, but no, that is not the number one killer of pregnant women.
I said preeclampsia.
Preeclampsia, yeah.
I'm gonna say AIDS.
No, it's homicide.
Oh, that's sad.
Specifically, homicide by their significant other.
Oh, you're talking about being murdered.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about giving up on life and killing yourself.
No, homicide. They're killed by their significant other. That is the number one killer of pregnant women.
Well, that's a bunch of turdy birdie men who need to go to prison.
Okay. So I have a question.
Go ahead.
According to the UN, approximately how many women were killed worldwide by an intimate partner or a family member in 2023?
142,362.
No, you overestimated. It's approximately 51,000.
Okay.
Yeah, that's so nice. How
Is that
many?
just in the United States or worldwide?
That is worldwide. So 51,000 women worldwide are murdered by a spouse or a family member.
What about men? How many men are murdered?
Doesn't give that statistic.
Probably
Six,
really high.
I don't think they have the statistics for how many men are killed by a partner, by like specifically their significant other, because when they're counting deaths by significant others, they're counting it as a form of domestic violence. So not, because I hate to say it, sometimes you do get those cases where a man is murdered in a case of self-defense when it comes to domestic violence. So they have trouble differentiating between the two. Can you not find it?
Apparently, we're not live right now.
We are.
We are, but I can't find
Why
it.
don't you back out and get back in?
I'll have to.
Because that's what happened last time.
Yeah, because look, this is everybody that's on now. All this. Usually,
Is there a way to go back to our site?
Technical difficulties at this time, folks.
Okay, so here is another question. I think you will like this one, John, because it does include men and women. How many men and women become victims of domestic violence? Violence. How many men and women become victims of domestic violence?
Are we talking on a percentage or an
A number.
amount? 53,000.
10 million.
That's a lot.
That is a whole lot. In the US alone in 2021, more than 1/3 of murdered women were killed in a relation to intimate partner violence. And nearly how many percentage of intimate partner homicide victims are women?
Of how many? 10 billion?
So in a percentage, how many of intimate partner homicide victims are women?
Out of that 10 million, I would say 7 million were.
So it is a 76% of inter-partner
Sounds right.
homicide are
7.
women. Yeah.
7.
I think they said men are killed more by men. It's like that idea where men
78 men.
Okay, 1,078 men. Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Cool.
Nice. No, it's I heard a saying once that men kill to keep, women kill to protect.
Unless you're a man like me where you were the woman and the man, and don't take that wrong, folks. But you raised your kids by yourself, and so I had the protective mode also. Still have a very protective mode.
Yeah. And then we're gonna do so every minute about how many people are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States?
1 every 2 minutes.
20 people every minute.
Good people. Really?
Yeah. Every year, and we talked about this one that 10 million I mentioned, that is how many men and women become victims of domestic violence a year.
Ah.
So 10 million, which is terrifying. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, intimate partner violence amounts to blank percent of all victim crimes. Of all violent crimes, I mean.
40%.
15%.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's pretty low. Okay, so both men and women. How many of them have experienced psychological aggression by an intimate partner in their lives? This is about the same for both men and women. So what percentage would you say?
20%.
About half of all women and men. So 48.4% women have experienced psychological aggression, and 48.8% of men have experienced psychological aggression.
Okay.
Did you find us?
Yeah, 10 minutes later.
Oh, finally. Yay.
Do not tell me what to do with my microphone, ma'am.
So between
Sorry about that.
2016 and 2022, what percentage of pregnant women were subjected to violence by an intimate partner?
Say that one more time.
So between 2016 and 2022, what percentage of pregnant women were subjected to violence by an intimate partner?
I'll go with 30%.
5.4%. So that's nice. But approximately what percentage of homicides among pregnant people or within a year of pregnancy are related to intimate partner violence?
I'll say 8%.
40%.
Gosh darn it, keep getting me wrong.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
I was like nailing the small ones. And
The
then
big ones? Yeah.
way off.
So, I'm going to give you a statistic and I want you to tell me if it is true or false. Between 2001 and 2012, more women in the US were killed by an intimate partner using a gun than US troops in Iraq and Afghanistan combined.
False.
That is true.
That's true that I'm right with the false answer?
No,
or-
that is
oh,
true that between 2001 and 2012, more women in the US were killed by an intimate partner using a gun than troops.
That's sad.
That is really sad. So the reason we're getting into domestic violence is simply because we're gonna talk on a tough topic. We're gonna talk about the red pill community, and we're gonna talk about the effects that the red pill community has had. I am going to give everyone who is watching like kind of a trigger warning. We are going to talk about abuse of women, domestic violence. We are going to talk about sexual assault. We're also going to talk a lot about misogyny, which, if you don't know, is the hatred of men. Hi, no, not men, women. Hi, Thomas. It's the hatred.
Hello, Thomas.
We're going to talk a lot about misogyny, which is the hatred of women. But yeah, so it's going to
It's
be
okay to jump off here and there, Angela. We
Yeah,
will
that's
forgive
fine.
you.
Yeah, that's fine. I will say, I have almost cried writing this. I have gotten really angry writing this. This has been one of the worst ones I've had to write. So, and I wanted John on this episode, for the simple fact of he was raised in a generation where this was not as prevalent. So I wanted to get his ideas on it and his thoughts on the matter. Because the red pill community didn't really start until 2016ish. It became semi-popular, and then
Oh,
in 20
sorry, sweetie.
and then in 2020 it just skyrocketed with COVID. When COVID happened and everyone got locked in, yeah, it is definitely going to be a tough topic. It is going to be hard. And I will give you, like, when we get to specific quotes that I will be saying that some of these men have said, I will be like, hey, you might want to get off the stream for a second.
I'm a year and a half
Out of my
out.
yeah.
Of her DV stuff. So
DV
yeah.
stuff. So
That's
yeah,
fine. Understandable.
It's
If you get
completely
angry-
understandable.
they can't hear you.
Yes, they can. I'm sitting right next
Can
to
you hear Michelle?
and right next to you. I don't need the mic in my face.
Okay.
Not to be mean. Sorry.
Well,
So-
remember, this is a show where men are prevalent. and
You want to
so-
get knocked in the nose?
Okay.
No, I
So
do not.
we're going to be talking specifically about the podcasts and the way that these podcasts are affecting younger generation of mostly men.
Yeah, men.
They don't typically affect women as much. There is a little bit of a sway with women, but not as big of a sway with women because it's not targeted towards them. So red pill, as you can may guess, was taken from the Matrix movie. If you recall, the red pill means seeing the harsh reality of the world. So the red pill community is a part of the manosphere.
Did you say manosphere?
Yes, the manosphere. Yeah.
Not
The
womosphere?
The manosphere is a collection of websites, blogs, online forums that promote masculinity, misogyny, and the opposition of feminism. Many people that are on the manosphere are men's rights activists, incels, or if you don't know what incels are, they're involuntary celibates.
Yes, folks, we know what that is.
An involuntary celibate is somebody who they get a hatred of women because they're like, no woman will sleep with me, blah, 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 blah.
Egotistical jackass.
I'm sorry, what were they? Can you hear her? Can someone say we can hear Michelle?
Yeah, if you can't hear her, because I can probably talk loud enough where you don't need the mic. Exactly. And we're actually going to get onto some of the terminology they use, which I had to go onto one of their forums. I had to go onto an incel forum to get these definitions. And let me tell you, I was sick to my stomach. Involuntary celibates, men going their own way, pickup artists, and fathers' rights groups. Okay. These groups often clash on their beliefs.
Of the clans.
They are not one complete entity. The one thing they are united on is that society is biased against men because of feminism, and that feminists promote misandry.
So, John, you're a little loud. They can barely hear me because you're loud.
See, and it's because I have the microphone.
Yes, and just leave it right there. I don't need it in my face, is what I'm telling you.
So you don't need it here.
No.
You need it here.
I'm about to make you leave.
Okay. So they both believe, they all believe that the society is based against men because of feminism, and that feminist promotes misandry, which is the hatred of men. And when you accept these ideas, you take the red pill.
Oh, okay.
So I'm mostly going to be talking about the podcasters again, because many of these podcasters are being listened to by young boys, and whether they realize it or not, they are accepting these ideas. And there have been consequences to these podcasters that might not even been realized. So here are some terms that explain a lot about their belief system of these podcasters, but also some terms that you might actually hear from like your kids, like in the day-to-day world.
Oh, okay.
So, alpha male. I laugh at this because I heard somebody once say, if somebody comes up to you and goes, I'm an alpha male, you look them dead in the eyes and go, is that a furry thing? And then I just...
I'm an alpha male.
I
don't know. Oh, well, probably because it's bent.
Better?
That's much better.
That is
Michelle.
a lot
Thank
better.
You.
That's even.
Because I'm all looking at it like, why are we all crooked?
Yeah. So, an alpha male is a socially dominant, somebody who displays a high value or traits that are sexually attractive to women. The alpha is the top 10%. Is it?
Thomas, this is supposed to be a friendly show.
The alpha is the top 10% to get women. So you'll often hear this idea from incels that it's 80-20. 80% of women want 20% of men. That is not true.
Oh, I know it's not. Hey, ladies.
An alpha male is comfortable around women, handsome, masculine, confident, self-assured, and often arrogant and narcissistic. He is usually dismissive of women and treats them like a kid sister.
Be gone, sissy poo.
Completely unfazed by her charms. This is enormously attractive to women and is the foundation of the game, which is an attempt to mimic the alpha behaviors of men who are successful with women. So essentially,
men between the ages of 26 to 35, pretty much.
Essentially, yeah.
That's when men are usually in their sexy stud.
Well, it's
area.
It's also what they're saying is that if you want to get a woman, you need to act like one, so you can
just stop that. You don't need to act like a woman.
You can act like an alpha male, and you'll get you'll get women by pretending to be one. You may not be one, but you'll get women if you pretend to be one.
I'm an alpha male.
Good luck with that.
So I will tell you, beta male.
Decepticons. That's an alpha male call.
So a beta male is the poor provider who gets crapped on by everybody and rarely gets laid.
Sorry.
And again, I took this from an
And
actual
then men
incel
wonder why.
forum.
From that, they laugh. They're like, "Oh, you can't get Hardy. He's a loser."
No.
She couldn't get laid.
No, women won't sleep with you.
Yes.
That's really sad because some men have such low self-esteem of themselves because of the way they look, their
Well,
weight.
Okay.
And women expect, this is just me, this is how I look at it. Women expect us to look like Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill, you rule, don't worry, this is nothing against you. But that's how a lot of women project men to look like. They want these gorgeous supernatural guys, or Henry Cavill, or
they just want what
Thor,
women look for is like, buff men.
And
no.
So you say no, but
we say no.
You say they both say no, but I know both of these women.
Okay, just because we find them
men with
this is
muscles and bods are attractive. Now, if I could truly say this, if Henry Cavill is standing right here, and I'm standing right next to him, 99.9% of the women, probably even 100% of the women, are going to pick Henry Cavill. Boom! Hey. And you wonder why men cry.
So I would argue that women can look at like Henry Cavill and the actress from Supernatural and find them attractive, right?
Okay.
They are conventionally attractive. It doesn't mean we necessarily want to date them.
Exactly what Angela just said.
Thank you, Angela. We're on the same wavelength.
Okay, and then I'm gonna say,
I think honestly,
and men typically want supermodels.
Yeah,
all
I remember there was actually a
couch for John.
There was actually a debate that was done, and it was done on the internet, and it was a survey, and it was if you're a guy, they did two ones. They did somebody with a dad bod and somebody who was super muscular, right? And
the
it
people
was
that want dad bods are for one thing, money.
No.
Money.
Fun fact, all of the men who voted for, they were like, oh, the most attractive one is with the buff body. Women voted for the one with the dad bod.
Because that's a bullshit lie.
No, it's because...
Oh, yeah, I'd rather go with John. Oh, look at this beautiful
because it's...
big
we know...
Listen.
Or somebody like Henry Cavill who has that perfect body. I'd even like to lick.
Because it doesn't necessarily matter how you look. It matters how you treat us. The reason why women like Henry Cavill is because we've seen his personality also outside of his acting career. We've seen him freak out over building a computer. When Justin starts talking about building a computer, I'm like, oh, I like you even more. You're nerding out. Like we like that aspect. We like the openness. We
and the
don't
fact that he's fixing to be a dad too, unless he already is a dad.
Yeah, we don't like the oh, I'm a macho man. I can do whatever I want. No.
Because 90% of the time, the macho men are the douchebags.
Exactly. They're the douchebags. They might when we're young, right?
He's not a big buff dude either.
When women I think are young, we are taught from a young age, right? Macho men are the ones you want. And then as we get older, when we're teenagers, we're like, oh, that's really cute. But then as we get older, we go, yeah, that's not sustainable. We've been, and I hate to say it, I would say, like when we're like me and you, Michelle, when we were raised, we were taught, oh, when a boy hits you, that means he likes you. I was taught that in school. When a boy hits you on the playground, that means he likes you. Right?
If a boy hits my sister, my brother and I would introduce a baseball bat to him.
But it was like in that playground, like when we're in kindergarten, first grade, we're taught that. So we're often taught, oh, if a guy shows us wrongs, right, treats us disrespectfully.
Frat boys grown up and young
or old, they're worthless.
They're worthless. Oh, yeah. That's not true. I know a frat boy. He's my nephew. His name is Charles. And he grew up to be an incredible man, has an incredible lady, and two incredible children. So Not all frat boys
But
turn out to be
when
poopy
when girls are young, we're kind of taught if a guy treats you like crap, that's just one way of them showing you love. And so as time goes on and as we get older, we realize, oh, that's actually not true. That's hence why, and I hate to say this, I think a lot of like young marriages end up terrible.
And when a boy hit me, I pushed him down.
You know what? I was raised
Stop, Andy.
I was raised in a super, super conservative household. And so in my household, if a guy pushed me down, I was just sit there and like expected to just take it. So that's kind of like
I have seen that in a lot of women that I've met who are younger.
exactly.
They
And
have
it's
told me horrible stories, and I feel so bad because I come from such a loving family and such a loving
Nice.
background, I guess you could say, that
Yeah.
I never saw that kind of stuff. I never saw a woman get struck. I never saw a woman cry um, out of hurt or hide or be abused. And I'm glad I never saw it because I don't like to see people cry. And I'm not saying that as a mean thing. It affects me and I start crying then. But these poor women, I mean, I've had people tell me they hid behind their couch and prayed because they didn't want their uncle to find her.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say her name, but she literally would cry behind a couch and hide because she didn't want her uncle to find her, who was going to take advantage of her.
And
Yeah.
see, and that's the thing. Young girls are taught
To not say a word, just to keep it hidden.
to just keep it hidden.
If it's not always,
I was always
It's not
the
always
person-
hitting that happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah, it could
So,
be emotional.
and then
it
I
could
would
be
also like to point out when they
physical.
say beta male, they don't mean like somebody who looks like a beta. I needed to finish my explanation.
Oh, okay.
So a beta male
Nice.
shows his sensitive side to women. He does not stand up to them, but instead bows down to the divine majesty of feminine power. The beta husband's motto is, I have to do whatever she says because she has the female genitalia. That is the definition of a beta
That's-
male to these men.
So Michelle's a beta male.
For me, it's just the whole. I know it's either equal relationship or nothing, because in my previous relationship, it was I was at home with the kids while he went out and partied, did all that crap, and yes, he was abusive, more emotional, mentally, and verbally
Yeah.
than the physical. But he thought I was crazy because he would go to say something to me and I got in his face. I'm like, dude, go ahead, hit me, because you better knock me out. And if I get up and you're still standing there, you better be running. And then he would leave. Yes, because I stood up for myself. I was raised around 7 boys before my sister was
And
born.
I've met those
7
boys.
boys.
Let
And
me
so
tell you.
I was like that person of I was protected, trust me. But I got to that point where I got so tired of it. And I'm not saying every woman is like this, that I got so fed up with it and I got so tired of it, I stopped crying
Yeah.
over every little aspect that he would do. That, being home with kids, all right, you want to go do that? Fine, you go do that, whatever. You're out partying with teenagers that you're out of high school from, and you still want to be like that.
See,
And now, being with John, it is totally different. So I am going to totally hold on. I am totally going to disagree with me wanting a Henry Cavill. Oh God, yeah, Henry Cavill's hot. Okay, he is the perfect Superman, but that does not mean that I have to have a Henry Cavill for somebody to treat me respectfully like you have. We've been together for 14 years, and you've treated me with respect. That's why I am with you. Besides the fact that I do love you very much, the way you have treated me over these 14 years is what we have lasted as long as we have.
because remember,
Because you are not rude, you're not disrespectful. You treat me with utmost respect. And if I tell you how bad my day is or that I'm crying, my ex never consoled me. He never shown me what you show me. So I do have a hard time reciprocating certain things, like the love and the affection that John gives me. I do have a hard time reciprocating, like taking that in, because I'm not used to seeing that. I'm not used to getting that type of love from somebody who is giving it to me. I mean,
And see, I think it's my.
Thank you, love.
you're welcome.
I was raised in a household where you just, yeah, feeling like it's not an act.
Well, I'm sorry.
And I get that too. Like when I first started dating Justin, when I was first started dating him, to me it felt very much like that this couldn't be real, that I was waiting for the shoe to drop. Because the first couple of relations I had, there was no physical violence, but it was very, very much control. They had to control everything. They had to know what I was doing, when I was doing it. And that was probably because I couldn't live with them because I was still really young and I was still in high school and I was still living with my mom, where there was that kind of like control, but that aspect of control. Um, but it's like waiting for that shoe to drop, waiting for that. Okay, when is it gonna be? Especially because I was raised in the kind of household where it was, you're gonna, whatever happens is you need to just shut up and take it, because it is your duty as a woman to just sit there and take it.
Okay, Angie,
Go.
go ahead.
Okay.
She's gonna pop off for a bit. She says.
Okay. So
You
that's
mean pop off as in you're going to go off? You know, like you're
No,
popping?
she said
Oh.
that she's going to jump
Yeah.
off because
Okay.
this is a
Okay.
touchy thing.
yeah, this is a. So okay, so now we're gonna get to the worst of the worst of society, to these men.
Wait. Before we jump to that, there was also me.
Okay.
I was both. Um, my first marriage was bad. My wife at the time cheated on me, and since she cheated on me, I felt I could cheat on her, and it went back and forth, and I would say we both were the wrong, and we just both didn't know how to handle it and be good people. And I was very blessed because she allowed me to have the two children that I have in my life. My second wife, wonderful woman, still a wonderful woman, but she wanted to be with somebody else, and she felt that I was one of those people that was not a provider, I guess you could say. And I wish her nothing but the best too. I won't. Again, I don't mention names, but she it's a good person. She just made a choice that really hurt me, and we went through a divorce. And then I went through my phase of, and this might come up in here, where I hated women. I hated women because I felt like women only wanted to get what they wanted and then would be gone. And it happened over and over and over. I've met some lovely people in my life, and I've done some things that I wish I wouldn't. Well, not even that I wish I wouldn't have done. That I wish I would have done differently. I know that I have. There's two women out there that said that I got them pregnant, and a lot of people don't know about this. And I feel that if I get somebody pregnant or they have a child of mine, it is my responsibility to take care of that child and to help that child through life. And I have never met those two children. I don't know if I'm truly their biological father or not. But if I am, I feel that I have, because I have not been a part of their life, and I think they're both probably now teenagers. Um, that's horrible of me to have done that. Um,
But you keep asking one of them for a DNA test.
I know I asked for DNA tests, and
refusing you.
and she did refuse. But I think sometimes you just, with me, I slept around a lot, and I used women, and some of these women didn't deserve to be treated the way they were treated. They needed to be treated better, and I didn't give them that, and that was wrong with me.
Mhm.
And even to the point to where when I first met Michelle, I was like, I was still at that stage where I was like, I'm going to keep doing this and doing this. And then I met Michelle, and it was totally just, it was a change in my life. It was like the light that just turned on. And I realized that Michelle was the person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And I I I just wish if those exes that were out there saw this, they would understand that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for, and I'm not trying to confess here and say, oh goodness, um, but I'm sorry for all those things that I did and the mean things that I did and the way I treated them. And I hope that someday in their hearts that they will forgive me and the ways I treated people, women mostly. And I, again, now I'm very blessed to have a woman in my life who's strong, who's smart, who's,
Don't take no shit from no one.
there you go, and independent.
We'll get into
You know,
that.
but loves me very much.
Okay.
So here we go. Anyways,
Okay, so we're gonna
Sorry
talk
about
about the next level of males.
Okay.
Again, I got this from an incel site. The real worthless drugs of society are the omega males. These guys don't worship female genitalia. They put it on a pedestal. They stand in awe of it, often to the point that they can't even approach a girl without shivering in fear. They live
Sorry.
lives of desperation until ultimately, and
Oh my gosh.
until they are chosen by a land whale, a woman, who mines him for the meager resources he is able to provide. Um, I'm gonna get into something a sexual topic right now. Um, incels
Anything to say, Willa?
incels believe in the tingle, which is female pleasure. They call it the tingle. They say omegas cannot provide it. That only alpha males can provide it. Though I have seen debates that whether women can even have sexual pleasure.
Okay.
oh come on! If you're gonna bullshit me that a woman can't pleasure,
And
bullshit.
it's going to be the most common adjective for them are pathetic, ridiculous, and cringeworthy. So then we're going to have the female dual mating strategy. Again, this is taken from an incel site. This is hard to read for me.
Can you read it?
Almost all women want alpha males. They want powerful masculine male who assert dominance and lead them into passionate um, instances, which they think just happened. Now, I need you to listen to the vocabulary I'm about to use. So they think it just happened. In fact, a strong man led them to it, but they don't tell them that.
Oh, okay.
So they manipulated them. That's what that is.
How can you
Manipulation at its best.
Okay,
Oh, come
and
on.
again, here I am, and I'm not, but here I am. I'm an alpha male. I'm sexy as all hell, and I have the testosterone of a full-grown bull. And the woman is saying, "But you manipulated me to have sex." Bullshit. I'm sorry. No, it takes two to tango, and
Okay, but just listen to that language. That the women thinks that it just happened.
It's almost done.
That the women think it just happens, but in reality, the guy was leading them on to it. They were cueing them to it. It wasn't like
see, I don't see that. I see that in. I mean, with most of the women that I met, they were very. I don't know how to say this.
They were 50 Shades of Grey in that crap.
They really were. They were really good at,
and that could be for
turning on the testosterone.
and that could be for some instances, but it's the language that is the tricky part for me.
On how a person talks.
Not how they talk, but that part of it. The masculine male asserts dominance and leads them into passionate, I'm going to say it, sex, which they think just happened.
Well,
In
why would you
fact,
think
a
you just-
strong man leads them to it, but don't tell them that. That is the language that is being used to define this. That it's being the women are being led into it. They're almost being coerced into it, and they don't realize they're being coerced until probably after.
Like you said, the manipulation.
It's a manipulation. That is the language that is being used because what they're saying is this is what you need to do to get women to sleep with you.
There it is. Oh, you okay? I'm sorry.
I would say one of the biggest things to make women sleep with you is called money.
No.
Oh, trust me. Men with lots of money, women
And how
flock to them.
Yeah, but do those relationships stay? Are they long term?
I don't know. Some are, some are not. It all depends.
And I asked this question.
That'd be called gold diggers.
Those women who dated somebody with money, right?
Yeah.
They dated someone with money. They were married to somebody who had money, had kids. How many of those husbands have left them for a younger person?
Again, I don't know the statistics on it, but I mean,
Kanye.
oh, we weren't supposed to mention names.
I had to because think about it. Because
Mhm.
who was he with? Kim Kardashian, who is pretty much a millionaire, billionaire, whatever
Well,
she
he
is.
was rich as all hell too.
But then what did he do? Left her to pretty much date somebody who almost looks like her. But she's just with him because of his puppy. Okay. Yep.
No,
I had to
but
go get the food out of the oven.
I don't think the
I gotta take a
Kardashians are
minute.
with anybody because of their.
Oh, Courtney is off and on with tick face.
Okay, anyway, but that's
Sorry, Kardashians.
so this is part of the dating trick, right? And then women also want betas who are a provider to take care of them and are more willing to fake passion and give up sex for years in order to get it. So they're like, "Oh, they want an alpha male to sleep with, but then they want a beta male to provide for them."
And you're saying beta males go years without sex?
They're saying that women go without years because they would rather have a provider that they don't have to sleep with. This is, again, these are definitions that they are using. They are.
I would call those people without testosterone. I mean, testosterone is such a huge thing in it's not everything, but it's a big thing when it comes to sexual arousal. I mean, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
no, it's the truth though. I mean, if
That's what I'm laughing at is the wording and how it's being worded.
Exactly. And again, I literally copied and pasted this from an incel site. I was like, I can't type this up in my good conscience.
I'm not laughing at the situation. I am laughing at the wording. It's like, are you serious right now? Are you really joking with yourself right now?
Yes.
Okay.
They are saying that women date both an alpha, are willing to date an alpha and also date a beta.
I think
Because
men
then
do the
they
same
get
thing.
both. We will get to that topic.
Uh-oh.
So-
I touched something.
So then we are now going to talk about how they refer to women. Now, if you've been in an abusive situation, trigger warning. So, low value women are women who you need to protect yourself from and prevent from being in a damaging relationship. They are needy and jealous. They want to be with you constantly, are overly concerned how they look or how they are viewed, rude, and has no manners. She is loud and obnoxious, likes to play games, basically stringing you along, such as saying she has a boyfriend but flirting with you still. I will say this is questionable because if she's telling you she has a boyfriend and then she's friendly to you, it doesn't mean she's flirting with you.
And not just that, she may just want you as a friend.
Exactly.
I know a lot of
If a
females
girl-
that have incredible boyfriends, but they're still my friend.
Exactly. And they're saying that if she's playing you along and stringing you along saying, "Oh, I have a boyfriend," but then still flirts with you. I bring that into question because the amount of times like people have been like, "I was just being friendly," and this guy started acting as if I was flirting with him when I was just being friendly.
Okay, I think when it comes to flirting is okay as long as you understand the level of where you can go to. Like, I can flirt with a female friend, but if it's a female friend that is married and has kids, or just a female friend that is younger than me,
Mhm.
there is the point where you are
You
not to
don't
go.
Yeah.
And I think all men know that there's that point where if you're in the friend zone, sure, I don't mind if Michelle flirts, but if she passed that level of flirting and it went,
Threshold.
yeah, that, and I don't know what that would be considered other than cheating.
No, there's
But-
only one word for it. It would be considered cheating if you go over that threshold. I have tons of male friends.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Tons. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to sit there and cheat on John.
And we joke
Exactly.
about that because, like, she'll say, "This is my work husband," or This is my other husband, and
Work boyfriend.
they'll meet me, you know,
Exactly.
and they're like, oh, John, we love
I
you, but it's not something where it's real, if that makes any sense.
I would also like to talk about all the cases where women have told somebody who was flirting with them no, and then they get killed.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's a creepy man.
That's
Well,
and
it's not
it
creepy now, it's a
happens
murderer.
too many times. It happens too many times where you're told if you don't like someone, be honest with them, be truthful, say
Yeah.
no. Then when they're told no, they kill somebody. Then if you're too nice to them, you're stringing them along, and in those cases, sometimes you get killed too. It's a lose-lose situation.
Especially if you're meeting them at a bar to introduce yourself and it's in a public area, and then what have they been doing? They root for your drink, hence why.
They
Now,
follow you home.
I'm
They
glad these two ladies are saying they, so it could be man or woman.
I mean, it could be either.
it could be either, but I hate to say statistics say men.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So these low value women are frequently bored, have difficulty managing emotions, constantly seek attention and approval, lazy and materialistic, overly controlling, have a bad reputation. They also have a body count, which means they have slept with people before.
What's your
Um,
body? I was kidding.
um,
I've slept with 793 people. Some of them
Um,
might have been men and animals. I don't know. I'm just kidding. That's
some
a joke.
other markers of these low value women are having tattoos, bad relationships with their father, and even some saying women being educated.
Rule of three, John.
Um
Three.
heard some say being educated it makes you a low value woman, and then not wanting children makes you a low value woman.
Well, see, I disagree with all that too. Like my brother, when he met his incredible wife, they both talked about it
Yeah.
and said that not having children was going to be their way, and that they would rather see my kids or my sister's kids and spend time with them because they
go
can send them home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They get sent back.
and I
Makes
totally
sense.
understand that. And he and his wife have done incredible. They're both successful. They both enjoy life. I think it's something where both the man and the woman would have to talk about.
But to these men on these podcasts, right? When they're talking about women, when they refer to low value women, they're referring to women who are like, I don't want kids.
Hmm.
They're referring to women who have tattoos, who are educated, who are all of these things. They're referring to any woman who has one of these or multiple of these, they're automatically a low value woman.
Well, I hate to tell you, man, 98% of the women have something of that.
Yeah, I guess I'm a low value one because I got tattoos.
Oh, you son of a!
I'm an educated woman.
What?
So okay. So now I'm going to talk about high value women. So Pearl Davis is one of the podcasters we are going to be talking about, and she says
He tries to send his home, but they keep coming back.
so. Pearl Davis is one of the podcasters we will be speaking about.
Okay.
And she is a strong supporter of the idea that a woman can only be high value until her late 30s, and has often voiced outrage against the body positivity movement because to her, weight has a lot to do with whether or not a woman is capable of being a worthy partner to a man. A
Did
high
you say weight? Like body weight?
yeah, has to do a lot with whether or not a woman is capable of being a worthy partner to a man.
Oh, that's sad.
Keep your mouth shut.
A high value woman only ever wants a family and children. In her eyes, a woman's value is surely influenced by how active she is sexually, and ruins her prospects on landing a good partner with people she sleeps with. Basically, this means a high value woman is someone who is young, hasn't slept with anyone, observes traditional gender roles, and so her only value is being a mom and a wife and nothing else.
Wait, there's women out there like that?
You're right. I'm gonna move.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about a high value male, aka alpha male. They have money, they attract women. They often say that because they are high value, they need multiple women because they are not meant to be tied down to one person because they are so high valued. And they often say they are 6 feet and make 6 figures or something along those lines. So because
I don't make six figures.
because they're 6
Damn it.
feet tall and they got money, they can sleep with whoever they want.
Apparently.
And then a low value man is anyone who isn't a high value man.
Okay, but here I'm going to bring up something. Here's a guy, got lots of money. He's in his early 40s,
Willow.
doing well.
Willow.
Has pretty much enough money to where he can take you out, buy you things, get you all the stuff you want, take you out to nice fancy dinners, and you're 22 years old, and he's in his 40s, and
Or 50s.
I look at the girl or young woman, and they're like, "Oh, look, he bought me this and he bought me that, and I got fancy dinners, and but I see right through it. And I see this woman who's doing that because of the things she gets from him.
That is what they would consider a high value woman. Because to them, also, a high value woman will not be upset if a man cheats on them. A high value woman will not get upset by that. A high value woman is essentially only with them for their money.
What was that?
But they don't think about that. They just think.
I wish I had my phone because I'd play the song Gold Digger.
Okay. So now that I've said some of these things, you may understand what's being said. You can hear things that kids are saying and better understand it. So you might hear now kids in like the store we work go like talk about I'm an alpha male, bro, or something like that. And you might now know what they are referring to.
You don't look like one. Okay.
So now these terms are typically used by podcasters. Some of the famous ones are Andrew Tate, Myron Gaines, Aiden Ross, Rosh V, and Jordan Peterson. There's also a couple of women, most notably Hannah Pearl Davis. I will say I find it funny that she is on the list because many of these podcasters have talked about how women should not be in the public sphere. They shouldn't be working 9 to 5s or retail. They shouldn't have podcasts.
Working 9 to 5.
We got one.
And they shouldn't. They should just stay at home and take care of the kids. That their place is not to be out in the world. Their place is to be at home.
Willow, would you like that if I stayed home and just took care of you?
Of course, Willow would. She has
Wait,
attachment
could you
issues.
repeat that? No one heard that.
I said, would Willow like it if I stayed home and took care of her?
So I'm going to talk
Yes,
about
she would.
Andrew Tate first.
Okay.
And his brother. I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail about the charges that he and his brother are dealing with, but I will say some of the charges and accusations he has in Britain and Romania. In Britain, 4 women are suing, claiming rape and abuse. The police are also investigating human trafficking and rape. That investigation is also linked to Romania. And in August 2024, the Romanian government searched one of Tate's residences as part of a new investigation. A spokeswoman for the brothers said those accusations, including human trafficking and money laundering, the Romanian prosecutors confirmed they had issued search warrants in the Bucharest area over the potential trafficking of minors and sexual intercourse with a minor.
And who was this piece of shit?
Andrew Tate and his brother. And I'm going to go into more about Andrew Tate and his brother.
Okay, yeah.
They had a podcast.
And
they are the most popular podcasters.
So is the Subway guy.
Yeah. Jared. No, basically, Andrew Tate is the one who made these red pill content, these red pill podcasts, super popular. And I will get into how popular he is. The Google search information, his Instagram, Twitter, YouTube following, all of that.
How could you follow a man that takes innocent children?
Well, these charges are new. So this is new information that they revealed. I will say you can kind of see.
You see that?
You can kind of see that this was something going on if you looked deeper into some of his quotes.
Wait a minute. So has it been?
He has not been charged, but he has charges against him. They are in the middle of prosecuting him in Romania for these charges.
Okay, then I take back what I said because he has not been proven guilty.
Yes.
I always say innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. Well, not in Romania. That's not the actual. So Andrew Tate is a self-proclaimed misogynist, which is a hater of women. He was a kickboxer for a little bit, won world championship 4 times, but he found his fame on the internet. One of his famous quotes in an interview with another YouTuber was, I'm absolutely a misogynist, and then added, I'm a realist, and when you're a realist, you're sexist. There's no way you can be rooted in reality and not be sexist. He also said, women are intrinsically lazy, and said there was no such thing as an independent female.
That's a role reverse in this family. Michelle takes care of everything, and I'm a lazy.
Are you coming back anytime soon?
We lost Michelle, folks.
Because I'm about to list a bunch of quotes from Andrew Tate that make me really angry. And Michelle, do you have a stress ball?
No, I don't.
You should get a stress ball.
I'm either gonna laugh at it or just look at you like, what the hell did you
Okay, so again, I noted because he is the longest one and has brought this more to the forefront, but because of these ideas have been around for a while, but he has popularized it and made it modern. So here are some of the quotes he has said about women. I can see so much potential in you ladies. Easily one or both of you modest babes could be one of my wives, my hoes, if you will.
Oh.
When a man speaks, you
Rose before hose.
When a man speaks, you will listen.
Okay, what century did you come from?
I know that women want a strong hand, a leader. Well, here I am. I can see they're very emotional right now. You can't be responsible for a dog if it doesn't obey you, or a woman that doesn't obey you. 18 to 19-year-old women are more attractive than 25-year-olds because they've been through less, pardon my language, dick. He didn't say pardon my language. I said that. Do you see where I say that there's indicators?
Well, wait a minute, though. You said that you brought up the dick part.
Oh, no. I said,
She said,
the
"Pardon my
pardon me"
language.
was something I added to that.
She added to the thing.
added.
Oh,
He said,
okay.
She's like, pardon my French.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna need you to. Okay. So he talks about hitting and choking women, trashing their belongings, and stopping them from going out. It's bang out the machete, boom in her face, then grip her by the neck, and you go, "Shut up, bitch." She's shaking on the floor, panties all wet, and you go sleep with her. That's how it goes. Slap,
I
slap.
call straight ass bullshit.
Let
That
her
he
finish.
thinks
Let me finish.
that turns on a woman.
Let me finish. Slap, slap, grab, choke, shut up, bitch, sex.
Okay, if you're one of those people that getting all leather and only your nose is like showing and get into that kind of stuff, more power to you. I just cannot see that any woman would be happy being treated like that.
Well,
Lorena Bobbitt.
we're gonna actually go into this. There was a video of him attempting to beat a woman with a belt for not listening to him. However, she hid from him in another room and locked the door. And when the video of him attempting to beat the woman got leaked, he said any man who is actually a G will look at the video and go, "Man, she wants that shit."
That's why she hid in another room. She wanted that.
Yeah. When I grab you,
Okay.
a woman, by the neck and you start annoying me and try to resist, I just. Can you hold these two things?
Uh-oh.
I violently go.
You hit your own palm?
No, he's indicating beating them.
I know. I was joking.
And then I grab you by the neck again. And then what the fuck are you going to do when your face is collapsed?
I say try it on him.
Let's see how he likes this.
It. Oh, yeah.
And then I grab you by your neck again. And then what are you going to do about it when your face is collapsed and your fucking cheekbone is broken? You ain't going to do shit but cry.
I'm just waiting for the woman that's stronger than him, like some MMA fighter woman or what I saw this girl that's in the new
I'm not
Karate
done.
Kids show, and she could karate chop and beat the hell out of him.
Any man will always be able to whoop your butt.
Oh.
I'm not done.
Oh, wait.
Pick me.
Any man will be able to whoop your butt, sexually assault you.
Thomas has been chosen.
Sexually assault you, strangle you, kill you, anything he wants to do. He told an underage girl in front of her boyfriend that when she turns 18, he's going to show her a real man.
And what did the boyfriend say to that?
Nothing. I will not administer CPR unless you're a hot female. I don't want my girlfriend to have her own opinions. I like living in countries where corruption is accessible for everybody.
Can you stay single for the rest of your life living in your
Oh no,
basement?
the charges.
Mhm.
He got women to date him and say he was going to date them, and then he started creating videos on OnlyFans and taking all of the money from them.
Okay, but here again, I'm questioning why would these women, knowing who he is, even show up?
And I hate to tell you this, John, because those women were raised like me. Those women
it.
were taught no matter what happens, if he loves you,
To be
if he says he
submissive.
loves you, you take it.
Okay, and I'm going to say if anyone ever lays a hurtful hand on Abigail, they're going to be introduced to what I call a John Schwarg shotgun, and Michelle raising off the ground
Don't need
going,
no shotgun.
boom,
Don't need a shotgun.
Okay, so I am done with the quotes. We are done with the quotes from him.
Oh, from him. So that means
Okay.
there's more later.
So these are things he has said on YouTube videos, in podcasts, and interviews. And you may be asking yourself, okay, it's just one crazy dude. He doesn't have that much say. An early YouTube channel Andrew Tate and his brother were
I'm
called
here, brother. Again, pick me, pick me.
made was called The Hateful Tates. Tate became widely known in mid-2022 and was searched on Google more times than both Donald Trump and COVID-19 that July.
Wow.
In August, The Guardian reported that videos of Tate on TikTok had been viewed 11.6 billion times.
Jesus.
In December 2023, Tate had over 8.5 million followers on Twitter, an increase of 5 million since December of 2022.
Now, are these followers or people that watch these videos just like
That are like him?
no, like I'll go through and I'm watching videos and I'll be, oh my God, what an idiot, and it's not that I'm following that person. I just think what,
No, they're like the followers. They're you click subscribe.
oh wow.
In August of 2024, Tate had 9.9 million followers on X. He was the third most Googled person in 2023, and his Wikipedia article was ranked among the top 25 English Wikipedia articles in 2023.
Wow.
In 2021, Andrew Tate lost his Twitter account due to violations, and that was just the beginning. Tate was permanently banned from Facebook and Instagram, losing 4.7 million followers from the latter. Their parent company Meta said he had violated its policy on dangerous organizations and individuals. TikToks, where videos featuring Tate's name as a hashtag had been viewed over 13 billion times.
Jeez.
Also removed his account, determining it violated their policies on content that attacks, threatens, incites violence against, or otherwise dehumanizes an individual or a group. Shortly thereafter, YouTube suspended his channel, which had 760,000 subscribers, citing multiple violations, including hate speech and COVID-19 misinformation. Tate later deleted his own Twitch channel, which had 50,000 subscribers. In November of 2022, after Elon Musk acquired Twitter, Tate's Twitter account was reinstated.
Oh, Mr. Musk. What?
So that was Andrew Tate. We're going to talk about Myron Gaines now. A member of the Fresh and Fit podcast and the author of Why Women Deserve Less. That's his actual book title.
Wow.
He was a former ICE agent before becoming a podcaster, and in his books he has some quotes that I would like to read to you. But he doesn't. We're gonna go. Me and Michelle saw this one on TikTok. Fat people need to go into concentration camps.
Both men and women?
Yeah, both men and women, just fat people in general.
Oh, well.
Some more
Get a
quotes
bad
include,
name.
again, trigger warning.
That's
Until
gross.
that girl proves she is a starry-eyed girl who adores you and will make your life infinitely better, there is no committed relationship. You are not taking the Tom Brady gamble. Maybe have some sex, maybe go on some dates, but you make no emotional investment.
Don't let them cut down Tom Brady. Tom Brady's a good man.
But you make no emotional investments in the girl. It's just your turn until she proves otherwise. Men are always the gatekeepers of commitment. Another quote is, if you are in a serious relationship with a girl, she should not have an Instagram account. That's cheating, he said, comparing it to a woman having a for sale sign around her neck.
Wow.
Well, I will admit something that, like, on Instagram, I see a lot of videos of women. I mean, but
That's like saying Michelle can't have it because Michelle has a for sale sign around her neck.
and I see some of these videos, and none of them are nude or anything like that, but some of them are pretty provocative. But that's the choice of the woman if she wishes to do that.
But he is referring to all women.
Oh.
Earlier this year, in an interview with Cheyenne Reynolds, Gaines said that men should never fall in love because you start to lose ground and you start to lose that rational thought. Men, he told Reynolds, love women idealistically. Women, on the other hand, love men from an opportunistic standpoint. Gaines said that women aren't valued for accomplishments. They are valued for their beauty as they get Beauty. As you get older, he told female listeners, your value goes down. According to his LinkedIn bio, Gaines helps men transform from simps into pimps by providing uncomfortable truths. I know
Nothing like being a pimp. God, that's a good accomplishment.
Okay.
In his book Why Women Deserve Less, published earlier this year, he writes, the relationship between most men and women throughout all of history has been transactional. It has been prostitution. All men are Johns and all women are whores.
Okay, all right. And now I know why Abigail chose me to be on this. My grandpa and grandma, from the 40s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, okay? Back in those days, yes, the man was the dominant in the relationship. But my grandpa treated my grandma with such respect and love and compassion. Never would he have hurt her, lay a hand on her, or do anything wrong to her. It was about love and about commitment, but you still saw that, if that makes any sense. You did see that he was the provider. He was the person that did, and she would listen to him. And but again, you got to remember the time. Okay. Then there's my mom and dad. My mom and dad are equals in every way, shape, or form. My dad, and again, this may be because of the family I grew up with or in. Everyone says, "Oh, John, you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth." Mine was a platinum spoon. My mom and dad had so much love for one another, so much, just doing everything together and being wonderful parents to the three of us, my brother, myself, and my sister, Mary. And you see over time how things have changed. You see that women rights, that for the longest time women had no rights.
I mean, we couldn't have a credit card or have our own bank account until the 70s.
And they fought for it, and they finally got it. But I think also women have gotten, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, have gotten stronger and have realized their importance. And I think now, if anything, and all these men are going to hate me, women are so much smarter and than men in many ways. And I'm not knocking men. Men are smart, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess what I'm trying to say is that over time you can see the difference. My grandpa and grandma, to my mom and dad, to me now. Michelle and I consider are equal, but if I were to say who's the dominant in my relationship, definitely her. And it's not in a mean way, and it's not in a negative. It's just it's how it is, I guess.
Yes, you're very smart, Thomas.
Thomas is very smart, but Thomas is a good looking stud.
So, like Andrew Tate, you may be asking, why is this important? And the answer is because his YouTube channel has 1.57 million subscribers. I could not find an Instagram or any social medias for him, just people using his name. I also could not find any info on how many books he sold. I will tell you some info about how his podcast has been treated by social media pages, though.
Oh.
So, in March of 2022, the podcasters received a week-long ban on YouTube for hate speech. The host stated that they were the results of targeted attacks and alluded to a mass reporting. Gaines stated that 2 videos that were old as hell were flagged and said they were flagged as indicative of a mass report. And it was obviously a targeted attack. On August 18th of 2023, Fresh and Fit, which at the time had 1.4 million subscribers on YouTube, was demonetized on the platform and can no longer receive donations from the viewers. The host stated they did not know why YouTube had made its decision, but suggested it was because of the themes they would usually cover on their videos. Gaines stated that the podcast hosted uncomfortable conversations about uncomfortable topics, and that's unfortunately the risk you take when you make the kind of content we do. Gaines said the podcast would continue on Rumble in addition to YouTube. The reason for the demonetization was clarified by a YouTube spokesperson who said it repeated violations of our policies, including our advertiser-friendly guidelines and community guidelines.
Okay, so you know what I would love to do is take these men,
Mm-hmm.
stick them in a room on this side, and stick women of all different
types.
types of women on the other side and watch. Oh,
Again, times
they
are
would have.
different.
It
Like you
is,
said, times are different. Like you said, back in the day and age of your grandparents, there
but
was that mutual respect. Yes,
yeah,
the husband was the provider. He was the dominant in the house, even though
yes,
secretly inside the house, the woman ran the house because why? She cooks, cleans, she takes care of the
she did
home.
everything.
That's her home. That's her domain. That's her. She provides for the house by keeping it picked up, clean,
But
laundry
my
done.
grandma was a teacher also.
But the and
Okay.
she did that stuff. But also she took care of her husband, your
Yes,
grandfather, at the
very,
same time.
very incredible.
So these men thinking women should not do anything, they're not quite understanding. We do more than you effing think. I want to
I'm
keep
glad you
it
say
PG. Effing.
that she Michelle is pointing out how much women do, but not saying that women do more than men. We are equal. I will say in my relationship, Michelle does 90% of it. And what I mean by that, is she does pretty much everything. I mean, I try to help around the house, but my chores are pretty easy. Take out the garbage.
Y'all are talking about these guys. One of the next podcasts
Oh,
you're going to
okay,
be
here we go.
talking about is a woman.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
Heavy, heavy mention on domestic violence in this
Try not
one.
to interrupt you so we can.
The last person I'm going to cover is woman, and she goes by Pearl. Pearl was famous for dating a TikToker.
Okay.
And then when they broke up, she became a red pill podcaster. She's been described by critics as the female Andrew Tate, due to her extensive critiques of female behaviors and expectations. So here are some of her quotes. The courts, the legal system, all of society is basically pandering and simping for women. In an interview with Ethan Klein on the Hate podcast, she stated that if feminists want the right to vote, then it should come with the draft. In the same interview, she argued that divorce should be illegal.
Oh,
So
wow.
you're for okay. Yep, keep going.
It's better to mentally accept that your husband may cheat and you're willing to work through it than mentally believe it's the worst thing ever. Infidelity is one of the leading causes of divorce. These things can and should be worked through.
Okay, now, well, hold on there. On that though, I do believe that if you are in a relationship, and I'll just use Michelle and I are in a marriage, and she cheats on me. I love Michelle, and I would try to work on the relationship to resolve it and move forward with it, as long as Michelle is willing to do the same thing. If
And
that makes
see,
sense.
that's the difference. Remember how I told you Andrew Tate was like, I could sleep with as many women as I want to?
Yeah.
She's citing that. That men are not monogamous creatures and they're going to cheat with whoever they want. However many times they want, and you can't change it.
Then go sleep with the trash truck man.
Ooh, the trash truck man.
I
What's
often
wrong with trash truck man?
Nothing.
Well, here we're going to talk about yes for the draft and F you about divorce lady. Maybe men shouldn't.
What is that? I'm sorry, Abigail. What is
Yes for the draft and and
F
if
you.
you about divorce lady. Maybe men shouldn't do it in the first place.
Yeah, you tell him.
Okay, here's another one.
Go.
I often hear the argument that what if your husband cheats on you and gives you an incurable STD? I would say you should stay even more because who will date you with an incurable STD?
I'd
Okay.
spread it to more men if I was a woman.
Repeat that.
I often hear the argument, what if your husband cheats on you and gives you an incurable STD? I would say you should say even more because who will date you with an incurable STD?
A lot of the time when a man cheats, it's over
And
and
over,
over,
and the woman
and
finally says, "I'm done."
finally says, "I'm done." And that is to both ways, but I do agree with you,
Yeah.
Angie.
And not all men cheat. Laugh out loud.
That
Yeah.
is true
And
also.
I agree with
And
So,
it's
there
this
you go.
idea of like not all men, and I get the not all men, but it's enough men for women to be like,
Yeah.
Well, and there's enough women to make men go, "Nah," because
that is also true.
I was not ready to get into a relationship, and I think the reason why I'm in a relationship with Michelle is because we got to know one another,
Yeah.
and that took time.
Okay, but what did you say about the incurable STD quote?
I say if I was a woman and some dickhead gave me an STD, I'd go around and spread it to other dickheads. I'd be a mean woman.
Yeah, it's enough to women go, yeah, exactly, Angela, we on the same wavelength. But what were you gonna say about it, Michelle?
But what did Thomas say? I will say that
Yeah.
I have
I've done
done
it
it
before
before.
and was lucky that my late wife took me back.
Well, and Thomas, we all make mistakes, and I mean, like I said in the thing, I've been in relationships where I hurt women, I hurt them badly, and I can admit that, and um,
I forgot what I was gonna say.
it was horrible.
Do you want
It
me to
was
repeat it?
horrible for
Do
me
you
to
want to
do
read
that,
it?
and I cut I think Michelle off, and
That's
she
that
had
one
something
right
she
there.
wanted to say. But I get you, man. We've if a human being can say I have never made a mistake, they're a liar, because the only person who's never made a mistake was our Lord Jesus Christ. And so
Michelle is getting angry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle. Go ahead.
If my husband gave me an incurable STD, bitch, we're gonna have fun. There ain't no PG. Guess what? You gave it to me. Oh, you're stuck with me now until we die. And guess what? I'm gonna write on your tombstone. Here's the fucker that gave me the STD. He
Okay,
don't get a name. That is his name.
we're gonna read the next
You
quote.
go, girl.
The next quote is 16-year-old chicks are hotter than 26-year-old chicks.
These
Oh,
26-year-old
come
chicks
on.
have brains.
Oh no, 16, too way, yeah,
You know, way too young.
yeah, way too young. And
Uh,
Oh my god.
we should.
next quote: women are not getting abused left to right and center. In most abusive situations, the parties are abusing each other. Sorry, guys, but you attract what you are. She appeared to double down on a statement, writing on X. Was he really abusive, or did you bring the abuse out of him?
Why is she talking?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is she talking?
Michelle, you made him go to a strip club. You made him drink. Oh,
Actually,
you.
that's what he well, not the drinking, but he did tell me that him going to strip clubs because I wouldn't put out.
Yeah, but these
Oh,
are
I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna get
Both
into
of
this
those
topic.
quotes are BS. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So let me tell you this:
I've
did
been
you squeeze a
told that.
watermelon out of your hoo ha? You did not. Do you
Can you
really
say that
think-
again?
Did you squeeze a watermelon out of your hoo ha? You did not. You did not. So you know what? You want to be with trash, then go be with trash.
Yeah.
And
Also,
no disrespect to
I'm
dancers,
going
because
to
maybe
note
it's the last
she
one.
is a 30-year-old woman who is not in a relationship.
And that sounds like a personal
And you
problem.
wonder why.
Well, no, because she talks about how all of these guys, and I hate to say it, it gives very pick me energy.
It kind of sounds like she's a supporter
She
of an
is,
abuser.
yeah, she is a supporter of
Because she
abuse
wants a man.
because she wants a man no matter what.
Exactly.
Okay, a man is not a man if they have to put their hands on you.
Woohoo.
I agree with that.
Yep.
A man is not a man. You are nothing but an effing coward. Okay, just keep going.
Okay. Again, she has a large following. She has 1.98 million subscribers on YouTube.
So you have to be a dickhead to get followers. Ah, okay.
Her Instagram has been removed.
We should start being dickheads to get more followers on it.
Has been removed, and she has about 500K followers on Twitter. Now I have given you some of the more popular ones, the ones you might hear of.
You'll be the first person I call besides, a few, Big Mike and John.
Okay.
And a few others at work.
So the ones you might hear of, but now we're going to get to the difficult part. How does it affect us? What are the actual ramifications of these podcasters? What is the real life consequences?
So we're going to go into how what they are saying affects us?
Yeah, some
Okay.
of the ways we've seen it affect. Many people have said that people who listen to these things, specifically young boys, might be influenced and think it is normal to think these things. In fact, Europe's domestic violence shelters have called out Andrew Tate for promoting such things. I will say that there is not a lot written on it, because as much as I have to say it, it is kind of a new problem. So because it started in like 2016-ish, but gained popularity in 2020, there has not been a whole lot of research because there's
a lot of statistics.
yeah, because right now it's 2025, so there's only been like 5 years between the popularization of it. But we did find a news article. So I'm going to talk about a news article that was written and released a week after I originally wrote this, and so I had to come in and add it in.
Okay.
This woman, Vera Popisova, is a Russian lady. Yeah. She works for Cosmopolitan as an editor. And fun fact, when she started this program, she actually had to change her name because one of the men she went on a date with had actually written a letter to her threatening to kill her.
Oh, Jesus.
because she had wrote a topic about a piece on
Excuse me.
abortion, and he had threatened to kill her because of that piece. So she had actually changed her name, and when she went on the date with him, she realized who it was, but he did not even realize it was her.
Did he ever see what she looked
No.
like prior? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's not going to know until, okay.
So Vera Papasova went on a date with 26 men who only got their news from the manosphere, where red pill content creators are really popular. She also stated these men will only listen to other men. So sorry, Pearl, they're not listening to you.
I like that.
She matched with 60 men who called themselves European guys looking for submissive European dream girls. She matched with 60, but only met face to face with 14 and went on a total of 26 dates. So she went on double dates with these guys, which kudos to you, man.
Yeah, no.
She did have a process before meeting each of these men because
You
of
say eating?
Eating each of the men?
no
Wow.
I
meeting.
knew it, Cannibal Lecter.
Meeting these men mainly because of how they spoke about women on the internet. Her process was before a date, I would tell at least 3 people in advance where I was going and what time they should expect to hear from me by.
Which is smart.
I enlisted a friend who was a former Navy SEAL to be
Same
my unofficial security consult. Some of his advice was less than practical. He told me that as a woman, I am 5 to 8 times more likely to be physically attacked and should be prepared to use lethal force if necessary,
Throat punch.
which would require training in hand-to-hand tactics. Stay
Or bear spray.
as powerful and fit as humanly possible, he added.
Okay.
So she went on a date with one guy that insisted they go to a Catholic church as their date because even though he wasn't religious, he wanted to date a woman who was religious because of the Bible quote, "Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord." Tom recited, and that's the guy's name. For the husband is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church. This is Ephesians 5:22 to 24.
And nowhere does it say in that quote or any Bible quote that the man is supposed to be abusive or hurt the woman or treat them like crap or make them feel that they are below them. And I could throw back the other thing when the woman came and
Read
wiped
the rest of that quote.
wiped Jesus's feet with and she was known as actually I can't remember what she was known as, but she wiped his feet, and all these men were like, "Oh my God, why did she do that?" And we're going to hurt her. It was something where Jesus was so compassionate and so loving because he knew what love to for her to come over and with her own tears wipe his feet. What a compassionate, loving thing. And I think that's where a lot of people they try to quote Bible quotes and use them to be like, "Oh, well, this is what it says in the Bible."
But you got to remember, it was written by many different people.
I understand the Bible has over time been written by different people, but I do believe in the Bible, and I do believe that the Bible is God's word. But we also have to understand, like it says in the Bible, if you look at a woman lustfully, gouge your eyeball out. You know, what that means in today's society is turn your head, look the other way. You've got to be practical with these things, and you've got to understand that when the Bible was written, this is centuries and centuries and centuries ago, and things were much different then. But
Well,
anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we're going to get into that because when she asked what a biblical woman was, he said women should be submissive to their husbands, and some people believe they should be trained. He said it's about knowing your role in nature. It's undesirable for a woman to be independent. As a man, I want to take care of you, and I believe in that biology.
That's ridiculous. I know many women that are extremely well being by themselves, and men that are very well being by themselves. I don't think you have to have someone in your life to be strong and be independent and be successful.
You can be all those things.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
even it being in a relationship.
Well,
Whether
we're
you're in
going to
one or
go
not. Yeah.
to the next date. One date said, if we lived in a different time, we would be hanging these white liberal whores in the town square and dragging them through the streets for the lies they spread.
Oh my
And
God.
it is important to note, this was on the first day too.
Okay.
It is important to note that when these men say liberal, they are referring to women who do not follow the traditional gender norms. They are not biblical
What
women.
does that say?
The line before submit
To your
to your
say
husband.
you
say
should both submit to each
other.
other. So they basically they're referring to anyone who does not follow that typical biblical woman stance, that submissive. When they say liberal women, and the way we can also see this, there was a podcaster that had a woman on there, and she usually agreed with him. She would sit there and go, yes, I agree with you, blah 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 blah.
Okay,
Well, she
I'm gonna throw something at them. Okay, so they're saying, oh, you got to be submissive. So that's what the Bible says. But the Bible also points out that women, mainly one, Mary, was are very important and very, very, very important because the Virgin Mary gave birth to our Lord Jesus Christ.
exactly.
Okay, so you're going to tell me, well, you know what? Um, James should have taken better care of the Virgin Mary. He did everything he could, and she did everything she could, and they were never said, "Oh, he's going to be above you," or "She's going to be, above you." They they did it. The Virgin Mary took this, gift, and to me, that is showing how powerful this incredible woman was to to take on a child and raise it, and mostly in these times, because if you think about it, if you were if you cheated and did that kind of stuff, you could get killed. And I don't know. I just when people sit there and try to quote the Bible and say that women are supposed to be submissive and all this kind of stuff, women are so important in the Bible, and I think that's what our Lord Jesus Christ points out, is that man and women are together as one. We if you cannot come together and work together and be an equal, then your purpose is wrong.
And remember, he wasn't even Christian himself.
Yeah.
He said he wasn't Catholic. He wasn't Christian, but he wanted somebody who followed those traditional norms. And so I'm going to say that basically, I will go off on a little side thing. There was a woman who was on a podcast who was agreeing with this guy, right? She said one little thing to critique him was like, well, we should actually also include this. And he went on a tirade about her, said, you're a feminist, blah, blah, blah. Even though she had been agreeing with everything and he's a part of this manosphere, very much giving off Pearl Davis vibes too. But the moment she stepped out of turn, she was automatically labeled a feminist, a liberal, and all this other stuff. So when these men are using these terms about
some boys are Thomas, or they're raised to treat the woman with respect.
But when they're in they're listening to this podcast, basically any women who does not follow those traditional norms, they are automatically these things. So that's what I wanted to state. But after that whole we're hanging these women in the town square and dragging them through the streets for the lies they spread.
Well, I know lots of strong women. I would love to just hear their opinion.
That might be like a 3-hour podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because
or longer.
And I don't think they'd come back negative. They would just show that how important.
Another date said a real man provides discipline, and any talking back or acting out is asking for punishment. One section she noted was that on one of her dates, her dates brought her to a political meeting, air quotes on political, because she states it was only men. She was the only woman there, and they spent their time complaining about girlfriends and wives, regurgitating Andrew Tate advice about how to train your girlfriends, how to train your wife to be submissive.
How to train a dragon.
Yeah.
So basically, these podcasters are changing how men see the world and how they see women. They are changing things so that, as I stated previously, again, there's not been a lot of research, but you can see that they are having an influence on how these men are viewing women. The fact that they now believe they have to train their wives, they have to train their girlfriends, that they have to discipline them.
I'm sorry, ladies. Don't fall for this bullshit.
Yeah.
Come on.
Like I said,
There's
and
so many strong women out there that I mean, I can think of some of them. Just Madonna. I know. Oh my God, I said Madonna, but Madonna's a strong woman.
yeah.
She came out in a time where women weren't supposed to be doing what she's doing.
God, boy, did she.
And
I grew up listening to her.
she was incredible. And look at the Kardashians, all of them.
Exactly. And
And there's so many more. I'm just using those two for
but
examples.
like I said, again, it's referred to as the manosphere. So we can already tell that this is targeted.
Oh. She's like, the microphone wasn't working, but it was her phone.
It's targeted almost to men. It is targeted towards men and young boys. I've even heard Justin say a couple of things, and I've looked at him like, no, because it's almost now happen place. It is common.
Well, and I
It's
think
like in their
the thing
vocabulary.
is
Exactly.
that older men talking to a young man can manipulate them and
To
say,
think
"Oh,
that.
And most
you
of these
did this."
podcasters are 30s
they're-
in their
and they're
40s, and
doing it.
they're manipulating, and they
Yep.
know they're manipulating.
And I will say, because pretty much, not trying to bash Max for his negative things that he did. He's a good man. He did help with the kids at times and stuff like that. He did, teach his boys, you treat a woman with respect. He was that person that did say the same thing. And then when him and I went our separate ways because of personal family things that were going on at that time, and then when when Justin moved in with John and I, and he wanted to start dating and stuff like that, and then when you guys met, I already liked you even before you guys started dating.
That was because I met her long before I met Justin.
Yeah.
I knew her. I knew
Yeah.
Justin as like an idea.
and so I didn't know, and I literally did not know, because moms know everything. Obviously, apparently I don't, and I'm slow. And he will tell you that. I'm not joking. He will tell you that. My mom's not that mechanically inclined either.
And I'll kill my stepdad
And
in his sleep.
yeah. Joking. Well, joking.
Jokingly.
But he goes, "Well, Mom, we've been dating for da da da." I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "You didn't know that?" And I'm like, "No, because it's not my business. I don't get into their business." But people would be like, "Well, what would happen?" Somebody had asked him, "What would happen if you hurt Abigail?" He goes, "Have you seen my mom?" He goes, "She will kill me." I'm like, "Because you were taught better than that." So
Well, not just that.
young
Abigail's
men,
an
do
incredible woman. He's lucky to have her. And vice
do
versa.
not fall for the crap that you hear.
Yeah.
Whether it's on TV, whether it's on social media, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
It's not a two-way street. I'm going to say it's a one-way street. When you're in a relationship, everything is yours.
Mhm.
And what I mean by yours is it's ours.
It's
It's
shared.
not his, it's not mine. Yes, I do have a lot more stuff than he does. But that's because it is my crap. I take to that. Don't, and ladies, don't listen to what you're hearing on social media and from men. Stand up for yourselves. Men, stand up for yourselves. Because it sounds like, to me, it goes both ways. You got one female podcaster doing it, and then because but do you notice something? If you hear everything that we've talked about, besides my few choice words, they've all been hurt. They have all been hurt. Hence why they went this direction. They have all been hurt. And they're not willing, I'm going to say not willing, to give it another chance to try again. Or get the help.
Yeah.
You have to get the help. I agree. You have to get the help before you're willing to try it again.
And a lot of
And
people
I would say to these podcasters, get the help. And do what you need to do first to fix what hurt you, because you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
You're not broken. You've been hurt.
I would even argue
relationships or partnerships.
Yep. Work hand in hand with each other. And that is true.
And I would say for these podcasters, I would even argue sometimes I question if these podcasters actually believe what they're spewing. Andrew Tate, the fact that he has a video
to do with money and
the fact he has videos of him abusing his women, right? I think he needs to work through that, right?
But I want
and when
to
we all said
getting
counseling,
Yeah.
you don't have to go and pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a counselor. Go talk to your local minister.
Oh yeah,
Or,
go
Yeah.
to a
or
church.
or
And don't be afraid, because I think a lot
if
of
you're not
these,
religious, you don't have to even talk
yeah,
to them.
There's
For instance, there's lots of people that I know that are not religious, or have, or follow the way I do. Okay, but that doesn't mean you can't go to a church and talk to them about it. They will help you and try
yeah,
to answer your
wow.
questions as best as
yeah,
possible.
But
Because it
now
says,
see, you're better off
because you walked
because
away.
you were never the problem. He was the problem because he didn't want to take the time to change to fix what was wrong. And I
And
hate to point the finger like that, but when somebody starts saying that you're the problem and you're the reason why they're doing this, 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 and this, guess what? Remember, what do they always tell you? When you're pointing one finger, there's three pointing back at you.
and I think
yeah,
when it comes to like, I think especially, and something I was gonna talk about is in the early like things. You were talking about men's rights and all this other stuff. We
Yeah.
were talking about misogyny and all this other stuff. I remember seeing a podcast, a debate, right? And I remember seeing in this debate, somebody
I'm
talk
sorry,
about
Angie.
how men don't seek proper attention for things that are going through their head. They don't
Mm.
seek psychological help. And they started blaming it on women because women don't want them to be emotional. And somebody said, "No, I raise you this. Who created the system that makes it difficult for men to go to therapy? Who
And
made the system that
Mhm.
made it that makes it difficult to talk about?" And the real answer is, I hate to say it, the system was made by men.
and a lot of men, they fear, they have, you hear it all the time. Men can't cry. If you're a man, you don't cry. Well, God gave us tears for a reason,
And it's okay to
Exactly.
cry.
It
and
is
it is
okay to
okay to
cry.
cry. And the same goes with
And it's
women.
okay to wear pink.
Yes,
Exactly.
and
We're
it's okay to
pink.
wear
Wear
blue.
pink.
You know,
Wear pink,
but
man. Come
it's
on.
It's not a girly
one of the
color.
things you had mentioned was that your ex had at least said, treat women right and stuff like that. But then he did not show that by the examples of what he did to you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's true.
And
It's
that's what
like,
I was pointing out earlier as I did that. I sit here and say, oh, I've never been bad to a woman. Oh, I've been very bad to a woman. I have hurt women. And I don't mean physically, but I verbally, sexually. And to this day, I feel horrible because of that. And I wish that I could go back and change those things and make things better.
mhm.
But I have prayed about it. I know that the Lord knows what I've done, and I hope that those women someday forgive me for what I did. But anyways,
What does Alice say to Jasper in Twilight? Because he talks about
oh,
how
that's
it
right.
took him.
Oh
She's
yeah.
like, it took you long enough.
Exactly.
And it's like, it took you long enough,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And it's not a negative. It's maybe it's going to take
A little
a
while.
little while for you to find that significant other that fits your little mold.
yeah.
He drives me crazy, but I love him because our house is never boring. You all have seen my facial expressions when he opens his mouth. I'm going, please stop. Please just stop.
Well, we're gonna get to the next part because the next part is a bunch of statistics, so it's gonna get a little boring.
Damn, are we hitting 2 hours?
So there have been murders, or violence against women from incels,
Mhm.
and those that follow Andrew Tate and believe in the red pill. Most notably in England, it was actually after the TV series Adolescence,
Mhm.
which followed a boy who killed a girl in his class. He was like 12 at the time.
No.
Who was like 12 at the time, killed his fellow classmate, because she didn't want to go on a date with him, right? And he cited Andrew Tate, and that was in the show, right? They literally, I think it was a month later, there was a murder of a school age boy who murdered a school age girl for a very similar reason, and they said it was an adolescence esque kind of killing. It was because he had these thoughts in his head. These things had been
He'd
put in
been
there.
programmed,
Yeah.
kind of like a computer. They went in, they said, "Listen, this is how you do it," and then he got just the opposite reaction. And this goes out to all young women and all young men. You do not have to do what you don't want to do.
They have
Exactly.
a nutsack for a reason.
Yeah.
If if a girl
Exactly. You
says
got it neat.
if a girl says no to you, then move forward and find
Don't.
find peace in yourself first. Take care of yourself first, and then hopefully you'll find that person you'll
And
find that woman out there that will love you
I mean,
and treat you the way you should be treated, and vice versa. You treat them that exact same way. And this is for women and men.
and it's been happening for a while. I remember I was listening to a true crime podcast trying to think of things for future podcasts, and there was a podcast about a guy, and I think I might do this case where he lit a whole entire building on fire because she said she didn't want to date him anymore.
And see, you've
And
got
he
to get
killed,
control.
and I think the death total was about 87.
Oh, good God.
So,
And that right there, I feel angry about that, but I also feel very sad that this man did not get the help he so badly needed.
Yeah.
You see it so many times when it comes to people committing suicide, and it's touchy subject, so I'm going to be very
Mhm.
blunt about this, but there's so many people that are such in my life touched me in such wonderful ways and made my life better because of the people that they were, and then they took their lives. And I think a lot of that had to do with they could not find that peace in themselves. They could not. And if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry, everybody. But this is how I feel. I have had battles with depression all my life, and I have done things to my body. I have cut myself open. I have broken down and cried for no reason or other than a thought of some horrible thing that has happened. And the thing is I have learned over time um, that I've got to control that. A lot of it comes with my faith. Um, that my Lord helps me through it, and but not just that. Michelle has helped me through it. Friends, my best friends have helped me through it. My parents, um, random people that I literally just meet have helped me through it. So it's all depends on, I think, on taking care of yourself. But
mhm.
anyways, go ahead.
So scientists are studying what they call a shadow pandemic, and that is the abuse and violence against women. It is on the rise, according to the WN Women. 736 million women, almost 1 in 3, have suffered physical and or sexual partner violence. More than 640 million women aged 15 and older have been subjected to intimate partner violence.
That's very true, Angie.
Yes.
And we will definitely, sorry to cut you off, we will definitely put the abuse hotline and the
And the
suicide hotline
hotline.
in the comments
Yes.
or in the description. So anybody needs
Mhm.
that, please utilize it. We'll
Yeah.
put
we
it up
have
there
that?
so you have
Yeah.
that
Oh, good.
where I can
Because I hate to
I can
say
put
it,
it in the description.
the
and I can download.
cases we've covered recently, there's been a lot of mentions of.
So what we try to do is if we talk about cases like that, and then we'll get where she can finish, to where if we know we're going to talk about abuse of any kind, no matter what it is, we always put the hotline number in there for
Yeah.
suicide and
I
abuse.
think like when we did the Bayou Strangler,
Thank you, Travis.
we also included the Trevor line, which is a line for the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
Where if they are going through problems, they can
We also
contact.
add it for them. I mean, yeah, a lot of people don't talk about LGBTQ community or any of that stuff, and that's perfectly fine. That's their preference. But people are people,
And they might
everybody
need that
needs help.
connection.
And
Yeah.
we're not going to deny it. See, Angie puts 988 for suicide and the
Mhm.
crisis line. So we're going to add that in our description. Good.
So the UN has found globally, the report found 85,000 women and girls were intentionally killed last year. Of that number, about 60% of those killings were committed by an intimate partner or family member. To give some context, 47,000 women were killed in 2020 by intimate partners or their family members. This means, on average, 140 women or girls are killed every day by someone in their own family or significant other. Europe seems to be the ones that are on the forefront of looking at these statistics and connecting the dot. So in Europe, violence against women is now being recognized as a national emergency. According to a recent report from the National Police Chiefs Council, they found in 2022 to 2023 period cases of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, harassment, exploitation, and child abuse in England and Wales rose by 37% compared to 2018 to 2019. One troubling factor is the radicalization of young men by online misogynists who promote aggressive and harmful views about women. Deputy Chief Constable Maggie Blythe has warned that it is a significant issue that must be taken seriously.
It sounds like evil. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But there's evil in this world, and we fight it every day, folks. If you don't believe that there's evil in this world, there is. I don't know how to say it any better. There is a demonic presence in this world that tries to destroy people, and several times does.
Thank you, Angie, for all the numbers.
So we're going to keep it on like a little.
Again, how you fight that and how you wish to go about it is up to you. But I truly feel that having, it's not really religion. I would say it's more faith. And be able to get through those. Anyways, Michelle has some numbers she wants to go.
Oh, no.
Angie put them in.
So.
Okay.
So Maggie Blythe warned that it is a significant issue that must be taken seriously. More needs to be done by parents, educators, and tech companies to counteract this trend. Social media platforms, for example, have been criticized for their slow response in distancing themselves from toxic influencers like the disgraced YouTuber Andrew Tate, who is facing charges of rape and human trafficking in both Romania and the UK. A Crown Prosecution Service study found that people under the age of 25 are less likely than older generations to understand that consent cannot be assumed in the absence of physical force. However, people like Andrew Tate may be the result of deep-rooted toxic misogyny, rather than the cause of which, which is an interesting take, that they are products of a society and they are just saying the quiet parts out loud.
Sorry, Tate, don't believe that at all. And young men, don't believe in someone like that. Be stronger and prove them wrong. You're better than that, and you know that. You don't treat a woman bad. Treat them like they're like our friend Kevin, who's one of the monitors on here. Thomas, Kevin, Frank, George. Sorry, Thomas.
Damn, I can't even remember Thomas's name.
No, see, now you're making me feel bad. Sorry, Thomas. But treat your woman like a queen, and she'll treat you like a king. I know, Thomas. I'm not going to live it down. Trust me.
I know this was a hard topic. It was a really hard topic for me to write. When I was reviewing the thing before we spoke today, to make sure there was like no edits, if I wanted to add something, if I wanted to change something, I started like tearing up when I started reading all of the Andrew Tate quotes just in a row, of reading that and being like, and I think the reason was so difficult for me to read this and so difficult for me to write it, because I was getting physically sick when writing this. And I know I've said that numerous times, but I was getting physically sick writing this. And I think it's because when we talk about the cases in the past, right, we often can just equate it to one monstrous person. We can say that the Katie Hawalka killer, right? He was just a terrible human being, and this was just a one and done crime.
Yeah.
You can say the Bayou Strangler was just a one and done crime. He was a monster with a couple of other monsters.
Yep.
But this is people who are actively promoting violence against women, and there are people who are taking it in going, yeah, that sounds right.
And it's only Tate that's getting charged for this stuff, right?
Tate and his brother, and that's because they had their own ring that they had created. They had been charged with.
It kind of reminds me of that thing that happened several years ago, but I think back in the 60s or 70s, where it was a preacher and he took all his congregation down into
the one that wore sunglasses all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Gave them
The
juice,
cult.
and everyone and
the Kool-Aid.
Followed him so blindly. They all died.
And
and he was the only one that didn't drink the juice.
Yeah, exactly. Because he was a coward.
Poison. And he was a coward.
And so that's no, but if you think about what you just said, it shows a lot.
Well,
like you said, coward.
The reason I get so heated about that one was because I went to school for religious studies, and so one of the things
Jonestown.
One of the things we had to. Oh no, he did drink it. Okay, I forgot that part. But he was still a coward. Because I think he drank it last. He made sure everybody else drank it, and then he drank it last. I don't remember. But one of the things we had to do for my religious studies thing was we had to, when we graduated, we had to make a paper. I wrote my paper on folk saints, and I had to find a folk saints. and we had to relate it to a psychological
I forgot.
a theory of psychology, because there's religious theories for psychology. And one of my classmates did Jonestown and did Freud as the psychological theorist behind this. And she goes that everyone was looking for a father figure. And so he knew that people were looking for a father, because that's Freud's whole thing. Everyone's looking for a dad. I hate you, Freud. I say that truly. I got beef with Freud. It is a one-sided beef because he's dead, but I got beef with him. I don't like Freud. But Freud's
Apparently.
theory of religion was that everyone is looking for a father figure. And so in Jonestown, they related he got a paint shot before he drank it. That sounds about right.
Coward.
He was able to take that father figure. Hence why we see that kind of like when it comes to like religious cults, they'll be like, oh, I gotta follow him. Manson, all of these other cult
Hitler.
people. Exactly.
Yeah.
Of this, I have to follow him. He is the one. He is holier than everything.
Yeah.
Because they take that place of that father figure. And so I think with Jonestown, it was very much that it was. And I think it's the same thing with Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate has, and I hate to say that it's a cult, but ultimately I think it kind of is.
If they had a ring, you would think.
Well,
Yeah, if it's
drilling into these young men what they should think and what they should do, that is
it's like you're training them.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And you're training them to believe these things. You're training them how they should treat
and
others.
making them think that's the right way.
Exactly, and that
And it's
anyone who
not.
doesn't do it your way is automatically the enemy.
Yeah, now you're weak. Now you're not strong. You're not a man.
Now you're a omega.
Oh, who wants an omega?
Are you a furry? It's a furry subclass.
And we're not making fun of that, folks.
We're not making fun
joking,
of furries.
we are, but-
We're making fun of Andrew Tate.
There you go.
Yeah.
Furries are chill.
Because obviously he wants to be a furry.
Yeah, you're gonna call yourself an alpha male?
Well, try and say that to Bubba when you're in prison. See what happens.
My name's Bubba.
And those
I'm gonna
Romanian
introduce
prisons,
myself to
man,
you.
they're a
You
little
got a
bit.
purty
They're
mouth.
You sure do got a pretty mouth.
Oh,
I'm
but
gonna
yeah,
slap it,
and
flip
also-
it, rub it down. Oh no!
and also not only that, we're trying to lighten the mood a little bit.
yeah,
You know,
yes,
Bubba is the alpha
Bubba
male.
is.
Might as well make him a t-shirt.
You know who he should meet? Dominique in prison.
Ooh. Don't forget to take his shoes. And
Take
the
his
wheels.
shoes.
And the wheels.
And when he's fighting him, yeah, take the wheels from Dominique.
What are we talking about?
Ronald Dominique was a Bayou Strangler. He showed up to the prison in a wheelchair, and he couldn't look up from his seat club when they were charging him for his crime, because he was like, I can't face I can't face my problems.
I say put him in a cell with Reacher.
No, he took, and what he would do is before he would kill the people that he killed, he'd make them take their shoes off at the door.
Because he would take them to his house, and then he would kill them in his house.
Yeah.
So most of his victims were found without shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And the media was like, oh my God, he's stealing their shoes.
What will we do?
How?
Next on Channel 9
They're
News.
like, he's stealing shoes. We have to stop. Why is he stealing shoes? Why is he obsessed with shoes?
And then
No.
find out he wasn't stealing the shoes. He just made them take them off. God. It's like, we said something about making t-shirts. Take shoes. Come on, Marie.
Take the wheelchairs.
Take the wheelchairs.
Take the wheels.
You don't need to
So
go
we
nowhere.
pretty much have said everything that was written, and hopefully you all who have watched or will watch in the future, please give us your comments. Tell us what you think about this type
Of content.
of content. Could we do something better? Is there something you want to hear about?
I actually saw a critique that said we over-parent girls. So we parent girls like on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're like, oh, what are they doing? Are they in chat rooms? Are they doing this? But when it comes to
helicopter,
when it comes to boys, we're kind of like, they can be on the internet. What's the worst thing they're gonna do?
Look at boobies.
Exactly. The worst thing they're gonna do is look at boobies. No, the worst thing it can do is start watching these podcasts and be like, yeah, that sounds right. And then next thing you know, your son is killing a girl because she said no.
Yeah. God.
So it's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it, kind of like the dark net, the Silk Road, was because these things are really prevalent, and especially because we're going into the summer months. Exactly. The boys will be boys. I hate it too.
Bad boys.
I like the word in the middle. That word in the middle there, just what? I think what she's saying.
Yeah, it's just I also hate that. I think if you're going to parent your girls, you need to parent your boys the same way. If you're going to watch what they're doing, the girls your girl children are doing, you need to watch what your boy kids are doing, because you never know. Boys can also be groomed.
Yep,
it's just a thing.
I kind of figured that much. I need to learn to censor myself on here too.
I try. I find it really difficult.
Just certain topics, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, next Monday is Q&A, so there
Yeah.
is no topic.
It's any question you want to ask.
Any question you want to ask.
And if you're watching this video and you don't want, like, you watch the after videos, you don't watch the live videos, you could put the questions in the comment sections if you have any. If you work with us and you if you work with us, you could also ask questions. You could be like, hey, maybe in this next podcast you could ask this question, answer this question. We would gladly answer questions. It is going to be on any case that we have done, so you could ask more questions on the red pill content, Bayou Strangler,
Trunk Murderous,
Winnie
Oklahoma City
Wilfred,
bombing,
the Titanic,
St. Patrick's
Day, the Silk Road, Katie Huolka's case, which I need to look up. I need to see if Katie Huolka's murderer went on parole, because he was going on parole in 2026. He was up for parole in 2026. I need to know if it got approved or not, just for my own sanity.
Oh, well, we can always throw that in there next time too.
Yeah. But yeah, you can always just ask questions if there's a case
my face says it.
For
my
me.
face says it for me.
Yeah.
I like being in here and
being trouble.
being trouble.
That's why he's a moderator.
Worst comes to worst, I'll do a small little, like, criminal case,
We'll
not
find
a big
something.
one. Yeah. And then what? Oh, we're doing the vets for Memorial Day. We're gonna look up different historical vets. I actually wanted to do the Tuskegee Airmen because I actually think that's a really interesting one. So we're gonna talk about different vets, historical vets, Tuskegee Airmen, Navajo code talkers, things like that. We're gonna talk about them, discuss some of the things like that, and give a little thing to that. And then I think the next one after that is the Mad Trapper.
And she didn't say Mad Hatter.
I don't know. You've got the calendar.
Yeah,
She wrote it all in the calendar. We're booked all the way up to November.
Yeah, I think we're doing the Mad Trapper, which it is the most wildest story from the beginning to the end.
Remember,
Yes.
Memorial Day
is the day the ones we lost.
Yep.
So
We can
hence
do
why
Pearl Harbor.
we're gonna do Pearl Harbor. We're gonna talk about it. The reason, like, we're gonna talk about a bunch of different people.
And I want to personally thank all the men and women that defend our country and do what they do. It takes a special person, and from the bottom of my heart, I love you all, and I can't thank you enough for what you do.
Tell vets that day you remember their brothers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every vet that I see come into our store and they're wearing a hat, I always tell them thank you for their service.
Yeah.
Always.
Not thank you for their service.
Okay.
Oh, tell them you remember their brothers.
Oh, okay.
Instead of thank you for your service on that day.
I don't
Makes
know
sense.
who their brothers are.
The brothers are people who've passed.
Who were in their
I know what they are. I was saying.
I'm gonna knock you out.
But yeah, so we're gonna do that. But yeah, Q&A day. Come back with your questions. Any questions?
The food's done.
Might do a little spiel on the new pope.
Yeah. Sit there and
Give a little bit of an interlude because he's already making waves.
yeah, apparently.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. So maybe talk about the new pope.
One of these days, John's gonna disappear. I mean, what do you mean? One of these days? Look, he's gone.
Just poof.
Poof.
But no, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna do the vets. We're gonna do we're gonna do the match wrapper. We're gonna get into some of the fun cases.
Call it.
And when I say fun cases, I mean fun cases. I mean,
I'm waiting for spooky season because that's what I want.
I mean, we got a soap maker.
Okay. And it got a candlestick maker.
No.
You got a soap and candlestick maker.
No, she made soaps and cakes.
Oh, okay. She didn't like what you said. She made you wash your mouth out, eat some cake.
Oh, I wish.
So next episode is Q&A to take a break from all this meandering.
Yeah, because I straight up
seriousness.
started having
Michelle,
nightmares.
Where's my super suit?
Why do you need it?
Woman!
You better tell me where you put it.
Nope, you're the soap. Maybe, Angela. Maybe.
Who knows? Tune in 2 weeks and find out.
Oh no, I think she's like in a month. We have like some fun cases.
It's all at the cleaners.
Yeah. But no, we're gonna have a couple of interesting cases, like a bunch of interesting cases. Yeah, straight up, we need a break. I wrote these like 3 weeks in advance. I'm gonna be honest, and I have been having nightmares. So having this little break's been real.
Maybe doing something more positive, like who's your favorite Disney character? Or
Nope, that's in July.
That's in July.
We're doing July because it's the anniversary of Disneyland.
And it's just nightmares.
And then October's the anniversary of
I used to
Disney
have
World.
sleep paralysis. It's funnily enough, ever since I started dating
We should
Justin.
do some paranormal things
Oh
too.
yeah, we should.
Spooky season. Oh yes. Okay, what about Justin?
Ever since I started dating Justin, my night terrors and my sleep paralysis has gone away.
You're scared of him.
Probably. Also, I think I overdid it on melatonin yesterday.
Oops.
I went to bed and I think I woke up in the middle of it and was like, what is going on? Where am I? Who am I?
Too much melatonin. Oops. Look at that. 7 people. Thank you for everybody that has gotten on here with us. Thank you, Angie and Thomas.
Yeah, my nerves are calm.
Yep.
That's.
But thank you both for being on here. Pretty much. Love you guys. Love you too, Thomas. Love you too, Angie.
Love you, Kevin.
Yeah, love you. John says, love you, Kevin.
So we will see you
next Monday for
the Q&A.
We'll probably just come up with questions ourselves. Maybe, I mean, I've only done 2 podcasts.
Oh, so you might see my computer up here because I might just like pull all my computer stuff up here.
Yeah. So we might come up with questions for each other.
Yeah.
And it may not even be on what we discussed in these first 10 episodes.
Yeah,
it might just be random crap.
Yeah.
Just
random questions.
Yeah.
Like I could do a little puff piece on the
you heard it here, folks. She's gonna do a puff piece
on the patron saint of protest, the folk saint of protest.
Yeah,
is a dog.
Hey.
He's adorable and I love him. I can also talk about do a little piece on protest dogs.
Yeah,
which is a strange phenomenon, and I could go into that about. Get a name badge that says Kevin.
Do it.
Please.
Thomas is saying he's going to go to work tomorrow and get a name badge
that says Kevin.
Do it. All right, guys.
All right.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
See you next Monday, same time.
Bring your questions.
Yes, please do bring your questions. Put them in the comments below. Or he's a bird off of Up.
All right, we're gonna go. We have some chicken pot pie we made.
Chicken pot.
I'm gonna go enjoy that.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Love y'all. See ya.
Bye.